Good evening. Welcome to the Chicago Westside branch, half an hour. We're here. I am Phyllis Logan, your host. I missed you guys last week. We apologize, but the show still continues on. The information is still abundant. We have been so busy with the activity of our branch with police accountability, working with the Chicago Police Department, as well as working and getting people registered to vote for this upcoming election, which is next week. So for those who are still not registered to vote, early voting did start. Early voting ends November the 7th. That's next Monday. And then next Tuesday, November 8th, is Election Day. We're trying to encourage as many people. This Sunday will be Moral Sunday, where we take folks' souls to the poll. If you cannot make it on Sunday, we encourage you tomorrow, Friday, as well as Saturday, to visit one of the locations for early voting in your ward. So if you are not registered to vote or you need to change your address for voting, you can do that on the sites where you can register as well as exercise your right to vote that day. There are many things on the agenda this year. Many things up for grabs that should be of a concern to you. The NAACP, we are a nonpartisan organization. Our goals and objectives are to get you out to exercise that one freedom that we do have, and that is to vote. It does not cost you. The only time you need ID is when you're changing your voter registration or registering for the first time. The type of IDs that are needed for those of you who still have not registered to vote, you'll need two forms of ID when you register to vote. One has to be a photo ID and has to have a current address. So if you're changing your address, you need to have an ID, a photo ID with the current address on it. The other piece of ID would be your state ID. If you don't have a driver's license, you can use your state ID. If you have a passport or a military ID, you can use that as a form of ID. A credit card or a debit card is your second piece of ID, which would show your name, and your photo ID would show your face. Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid card, or an insurance card. Once again, that's your second piece of ID that shows your name, validates your name with that photo ID. The photo ID has to have your current address on it in order for you to make a change in your voter registration, or if you're registering for the first time. So I have a little test for you guys this evening. I know a lot has been said over the news media with all of the advertisement that's going on, the news itself. The pundits are out there really talking about who's better than the other person, this, that, and the likes. But we want to bring to you two most common forms of deciding which side of the fence you're on. We're going to put it as simple as that. Which side of the fence that you're on. Now we know that there's at least two dominant political parties out there. There are also the Green Party. That's a third party. There's a fourth party, Libertarian Party as well. Those are parties that have their own agenda, their platform that they run off of, looking to get your vote. We just want you to vote, but I want you to vote according to your beliefs, where you want people to best represent you. So here's a first descriptive of a party. And I want you to feel free to give us a call. Give us a call. Let us know if you know this party. You've got less than 30 seconds to do so after we put the statement up. 312-738-1060. This is a description of one of your two major parties. And we'd like you to tell us which party that is. So let's read it. This party's platform involves support for free market capitalism, free enterprise, businesses, a strong national defense, deregulation, restrictions on labor unions, social conservative policies, particularly oppositions to abortion and same-sex marriages, and traditional values, usually with a Judeo-Christian ethical foundation. Once dominant in the Northeast and the Midwest, the party's core support now comes from the South and the Mountain West, Montana, North Dakota, those areas, Utah, as well as conservative Catholics and evangelicals across the country. So, which party is this? So give us a call if you have a question or comment. If you know who this is, we're going to count down. You've got less than 15 seconds to give us a call. Which party is this that holds that platform? 312-738-1060. Tell us which party that is. Now we're going to give you a second choice. This party's philosophy is drastically different from the first one. So, you know, if the party that we just showed you, if that reflects your values, your way of life, then that may be the party for you. So let's look at the second platform here. This party's philosophy of modern liberalism advocates social and economic equality along with the welfare state. It seeks to provide government intervention and regulation in the economy. These interventions, such as the introduction of social programs, support for labor unions, moves toward universal health care, equal opportunity, consumer protection, and environmental protection, form the core of the party's economic policy. Which party is that? So I've given you two citations, two descriptives of each of the top two parties' philosophies on how they think society should be ran. Which party really reflects your values is the way we normally would vote. We always tell people to elect someone who has your best interest, who's looking out for things that concern you, for policies and laws that reflect your livelihood. How do you see the government or not see the government intervening in your life? This is really what we're voting for. And I think many times we get caught up in all of the rhetoric and the chatter out there when you hear the pundits say, you know, this party's winning because of this party's winning because of that, or losing because of that, or this state is trying to block votes. We hear that a lot. There are many people out there trying to stop some people from voting, from exercising this free, simple right to do something that we fought for so hard, our ancestors fought so hard for, was this right to vote. When you hear sometimes they talk about you having to have to pay a poll tax. A poll tax is what was needed way back in the day when many folks did not have the right to vote, especially blacks. And there's still a part in the Constitution that many times we are not aware of that still calculates a black African American black person as as 2/3 of a man. So, you know, Constitution needs to be changed, but there's laws that state how the Constitution is changed. But if you are part of a party that doesn't believe in government intervention, then you may not want to see that part of the Constitution changed. Give us a call, 312-738-1060. I am Phyllis Logan, your host, and we look for you to please participate. This is so imperative that come election day that all votes are counted. It makes no difference. It makes a lot of difference that if one of these philosophies are what you believe in and your party doesn't win, then what do you have to, what do you lose? What do you have to lose? What do you have to lose if you don't vote? That's more important than what do you have to lose if you do vote. If you're practicing your right with this free exercise to vote, then you get to hold the person that you're electing accountable for the things that you value to your life. So once again, I'm going to give you the definitions of, or give you the answers to these two parties based on these philosophies and these platforms in a couple of seconds here. But give us a call with your questions or comments. 312-738-1060. Let us know. Let us know if you're voting. Let us know if you're still in need of and needing to know where you can go and register to vote, or if you need to do a change of address. We have a list of the different sites that are within the many out of the 50 wards that are in Chicago. Our concerns are not just Chicago, it's for the state of Illinois. Nationally is our biggest concern. But for Chicago, let us know where we can direct you to if you need to register to vote or you need to change your registration to a new address. Very important. And you have until early registration ends next Monday. And then come 6 a.m., 7 a.m. Tuesday morning, the polls are open till 7 p.m. But don't wait till the last minute. If you need to go online and find out if you are registered to vote, there's been much chatter and noise about voters being purged from the roll, meaning they've been removing names from the voters' roll. So you need to validate if you are a registered voter. Many times you can go straight to your local site that's in your community and just be prepared to vote that day. You don't need ID to vote. Give them your name if it's in the area, the ward where your precinct is. You have to vote. You can vote within your precinct. It's best if you do it that way. If you go out of your precinct, go into another ward, you may need ID. But once you have voted, you only get to vote one time. Your vote then gets registered and it's accounted for, and you don't get to go back to another space to try to vote again. We've heard some disturbing news about some people in other states actually trying to do just that. Vote in 2 and 3 different locations. Not good at all. That's disturbing why anyone would want to do that, but every vote does count, so maybe that was their purpose. So let's go back to our definitions. 312, you have an opportunity before I give the answers. 312-738-1060, and let us know which party speaks to this platform or this philosophy. So let's go back to the last one we gave you, going back to the overhead. This party's philosophy of modern liberalism advocates social and economic equality, along with the welfare state, meaning that they have to come up with ways to appropriate funding for people in need. It seeks to provide government intervention and regulation in the economy. When we talk about regulation, we're talking about the industries, the departments that actually regulate our food to make sure we're getting quality food, that it's being mass produced properly and safe. They regulate how banks are to do business with and for people within the community of all different walks of life, meaning that you could be low income or be high income. There should still be banking regulations that assist you with your start of savings or you protecting your minimal savings, whatever that amount is, and also for those that have large amounts to invest in, protecting their savings as well. Also, intervention. Intervention comes from social programs. This philosophy talks about assisting families such as daycare services, as well as labor unions, making sure that you get you have the right to go to your boss and say something's not right and not be held pushed out and
Just
not be
want to
heard.
say I went to
Do we have a call?
and
We
me talking about if Trump don't get in, they gonna start a race war and all this shit. What's going on with that?
hold on, caller. I can barely hear you.
Hello?
Could you do you have your television up? Let's try again. Caller. Okay, well, try to call back, caller, and then turn the volume down on your television. We greatly appreciate your call. So, once again, which party is this that moves toward universal health care and equal opportunity, equal pay for women as well, equal pay for equal work, consumer protection? These consumer protection speaks to all of the scams that went through our economy back prior to '08 that created that economic downfall that we had. Environmental protection. Which party are we describing here? Tell me. 312-738-1060. Then I guess I'll have to describe or tell it to you. This is the Democratic Party, for those that did not know. Okay? And the Democratic Party, if you can go online, go and look up under Wikipedia, which is the free encyclopedia on the internet, and it'll give you a full descriptive of the Democratic Party, as well as this second party, which platform supports a free market and capitalism, free enterprise businesses, a strong national defense, deregulation. I think if we had to compare the two, one believes in regulation, one believes in non-regulation. Restrictions on labor unions. Here, they really don't want the labor unions that involved. Labor unions sometimes could be safety nets depending on the trade that you're in. So you have to look up labor unions and their purpose and why they were formed. Many years ago, back in the early 1900s, we had the black workers that worked on the trains. I forgot the name, Vernon. The cabin, the Pullman, the porters. Correct. Started their own black trade back in the 1900s. We had a big riot out in Springfield, and that ignited a lot of the social eras of the NAACP. So unions are there for a purpose. They stated that if they couldn't work for someone else, they needed to start their own group. That's what unions do. They formulate ways to make sure that individuals have jobs in the trades that they specialize in. And they protect those specific areas of trade. You have the healthcare workers, that's a trade, and so on and so forth. Social conservative policies, here particularly on opposition to abortions and same-sex marriages and traditional values. So I think that you've guessed who this second party is. This party is the Republican Party. So once again, you can go online to Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia on the website, on the webinar, on the web page, and it could give you a full description of when these parties got started, where they're more proactive meaning the states, and you can learn a lot more. You can find out who their leadership is in both of these parties and much more. Okay, so that's your homework before you get too involved in not knowing who to vote for. Read up on the history of these two parties, and then feel free, without a doubt, to go and vote before Tuesday is over with. Okay, so with that, we're going to move on to our next topic. The NAACP, and let me give you our information. I forgot to give you that this this evening. Of course, we are located at 5820 West Chicago Avenue. Our office number, you can always give us a call at 773-261-5890. Our monthly meetings are the first Saturday of every month at 1 p.m. and our meetings are open to the public. And you can also join, become a member at our monthly meeting. So 5820 West Chicago Avenue. Our first meeting is coming up this Saturday, which is the first Saturday of the month. The first was this past Tuesday. So the first Saturday is the 8th. No, it's not the 8th. It's the 4th, 5th, the 5th. Okay? Okay, so stop by on Saturday. Let us know hello. If you want to join, you can join that day. So we've been working on a lot of things nationally as well as statewide and then locally. And I stated to you in the past couple of weeks we've been busy in Chicago with the police accountability, the police ordinances, dealing with the Chicago PD on many of the offenses that have occurred. The shootings that have taken place, and still all of the devastation that's going on in our community on a regular basis. Every week we get a new total in the double figures of how many people have been shot, how many people have been killed. It's really we don't want to say it's a losing battle, but we need everyone, every member of the community to be involved in resolving this. I think it's just so devastating that there has to be a community outreach to change this, to stop this. So we encourage you from the NAACP to be a part of that. But from a national perspective, our national board members met last month in October, and we submit through the early part of the year resolutions, which are policies that we think from a national perspective should be brought to the forefront. Laws that are regulations or policies, paying attention to things that concern us. And the NAACP, we passed a resolution on putting a moratorium on charter schools. We feel that these charter schools have taken over without much oversight. We also feel that the Constitution, especially in the state of Illinois, the Constitution, pretty much leads to every child having a decent education, a quality education. So charter schools take away from that, we feel, and because charter schools are private entities, they're really taking away the regulations that the Board of Education puts on our public schools. If it's a private entity, they get to create their own agenda, their own platform, their own curriculum, their own way of teaching, and no one gets to really challenge that. We want to slow down or stop for a moment until our communities can have a better understanding of what charter schools are really about. They're taken away from the funding that goes to our public school systems. And that should not be. We wonder why, our schools, our public schools are so degraded. It's because funding has been shared with these private entities called charter schools. So we have to talk more on that, and we will do that in the next month. We will be hosting forums, asking the community to come out and give your voice to your concerns on this issue. But we have set a resolution calling for a moratorium on charter schools. And if you want to be a part of that, we invite you to come out this Saturday to our monthly meeting, 5820 West Chicago Avenue, or call our office at 773-261-5890 and voice your concerns. Leave your questions, leave your responses there on our number. So that's going to wrap us up. And next week we're hoping to bring you the final tally from the Tuesday's election. We're hoping it falls in favor with what you're looking for, and we will look forward to seeing you here next Thursday. So thanks again. I'm Phyllis Logan, your host, and we look to see you on Saturday or next Thursday. Thank you and have a good evening.